Whoa. Well, this is Baruch here, back at the Tikkun elevator, Kolo. At the end of a week, who knows what's going on in the world around us? We travel inwards to find the truth. So that's why we learn the Zohar. We want to keep trying it. I know, there are people that know the Zohar much better than me. I mean, obviously the Matok Midvash, and there's many others, the Habah family, and things that we see. There's so much to know. And they're making this all possible for us, so that we could be davek to us as much as possible to Hashem Yisbarach. So we're going to start down here. So, like I said, I was trying to make a disclaimer that I know that there are people who know this parsha much better than I do. So I'm just taking samples, and it's pretty random because I don't know where to go. Just to try to get some idea that I can put out. That's for us to judge. So V'daber Elokim es kol hadavarim elu lemor. So Hashem spoke all of these words, saying, now on that pasuk, Rabbi Yehuda wants to start to speak. He began to speak, and he said that drosh be'inyan matan Torah. He was darshaning on the inyan of the giving of the Torah. V'omer kosav, and it says, Mi yamala gevuras Hashem, who will speak the powers of Hashem, the gevuras of Hashem. Yashmiel kol tehilaso, and hear all of his prayer. Now, what does this mean? Pirush mi yuchol l'saper gevuraso shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who could really speak about the great powers of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Umi yuchol lahashmiel kol tehilaso. Who's able to hear all of his prayer? Al shanazan lano as HaTorah, on the fact that he has given us the Torah. Now, I don't think this is one of the real great translations here, but I'll try it again. So the first question that I have about is what he means by guvurasa. But we're talking about what he did at the Yam Suf. We're talking about creation. What are we talking about? Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who is able to make heard all of his prayers al shenazan lanu Torah, about the fact that he has given us the Torah. V'amar ki b'kama archim araisa esehidus b'bar nash below yechuv kamei mare. B'kama drachim, in many different ways. HaTorah drachim. Hitarto HaTorah v'adam. Torah permits a man shelo yechtech alefikono. So I think hitarta, I think his rasa, that's really the right pronunciation. He warns that the Torah warns a person shelo yechetiv necha konos, that he shouldn't sin before his master. But mitzvahs lefita lo saaseh, and mitzvahs that are negative commandments. Bekama archim yehiv le'eta, many different kinds of ways that Hashem gives a man advice. The lo yeste ma'arche b'mikdech al-yamin v'l-smola. Bekama derachim nasa lo eitza shelo yaser b'deracho. So often we have advice that tells us not to stray from our regular patterns, another way that we're supposed to do things. The yamin, the small. In other words, it's a mitzvah. He says, "Mekiyah mitzvah saseh," for fulfilling the positive commandments, because it tells you this is something you need to do. Bekama archim yehivlech be'eta. So in many different ways, we're giving him advice. Hech yasav kamei marech v'yimcholei, how we can live. Bekama derachim naslach b'dal etza. The advice according to the Torah is giving us advice. Im chata b'kiyum mitzvah sasen. So you made a sin by not fulfilling a commandment you could have done. O sha'aver al mitzvahs lo sa'asin, or maybe that you got involved in an avera that you weren't supposed to do. How is it possible for that person who made these mistakes to come back to his master and have his sins forgiven. So let's go on with the Matok Midvash, trying to understand the Zohar. So he says that none that we learn. Shis mas las aser zini ete yehiva raisach of the barnash lemhevish shalim b'mare. Shalamado, the Matok translates. Kitar yag mini mitzvos. There are 613 different kinds of mitzvos. Eitzos, there are also bits of advice. Shehema taryag mitzvahs, which are the 613 mitzvahs. Nasana haTorah la'adam kadesh yeshalom im kono. These are all given to us so that we could be shalom, he means which complete, together in togetherness with our Creator. Ki al yedecha mitzvahs shenasana kodesh baruch hu the Yisro, because of the mitzvahs that Hashem gave to the Jewish people. We're able to complete our souls. Now, I'm not sure what this means, but it really means to be davek, to really be davek to the soul, in the sense that the soul fills every cavity of our body, so to speak. Until you get to such extent that your whole being, because the way I translate it, is clinging to Hashem. Because your master wants to do something good for you. The Kodesh Baruch Hu wants, he's talking about you and me. He wants to do something good with you. Olam Habah, this world and the next world. And even more than that, in the next world. So let's see what he means by this. In this world, when Hashem gives you a bracha, Poreya HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what he gives you, he doesn't give you the full fruit of the tree. Raka Peros, he only gives you fruit from the tree. The tree still remains in panimi to that. Shall schar mitzvahs, and that's what you get from the schar mitzvahs. And also you see that Kodesh Baruch Hu, the balance scale, punishes a person in this world al ma'at of for his little bit of sinning that he does today, the schus of Olam Habah, to give him merit for the next world. The Haltanina, so going on, it said, because we learn like this, Kol ma the kucha barihu ashlim le the barnash me'inan tavin the zachibahu. Ki lamada shekol masha kodesh baruch mashalim la'adam. Ma'osam atova shazocha b'chem, from those tovas that he merited to make. Ma'ol v'chol da'asa ishtalim bahu. Olam Habah, Mishtalem Bechem V'Locha B'Olam Haza, he will be completed with them and played with them, but in the next world, but not in this. My time, Mahu Atam, what's the reason? B'Shum Da'alma Da'asi D'Kudshem B'Richu Havi. Visha Olam Habah, Hu Olamo Shalakodesh Baruch Hu. This is in fact Olam Habah, is the world that is inhabited by the concept called HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Shesham hu Iker Hashras Hashkina, so because that's the main place where you see the dwelling of the Shekhinah. Now let me read it again. The Fisha Olam Habah. Now normally my problem with this is that Olam Habah to me always means Bina. So he says Hu Olamo Shel HaKodesh Baruch Hu. So that is really the place where Kodesh Baruch Hu comes from. This is my translation. Because there is the light, the dwelling of the light of the Shekhinah. That's the main place where you find it. And this is what we say, we learn. In Perek Dalet, he says, Hi Alma The kible, the alma, the ase, lo have, ella, beperoz the gabet rakman. The Matok translates, Olam haza, this world, keneged Olam Habah, if you compare it to the next world. Ein el kapros, though. Now, we've seen this many places before. He says it's only like an entrance hall, klape hatraklam, at the entrance to the palace. Behind the key, kamo hatraklim, who makam yeshivas melech, so this is the place where the melech dwells. Kain olam haba, who makam ashros shechina, so therefore olam haba is going to be the place where the shechina is found. V'kad zaki haku zakol b'didei zaki. So this righteous person, when he merits the kabel schar al masim tovim, when he's able to receive reward for all of his mas of tovim, all of his good deeds, Mishal HaKodesh Baruch Hu Zohar is from the, I don't know what he means, Mishal HaKodesh Baruch Hu, but HaKodesh Baruch Hu, it's from the side of HaKodesh Baruch Hu that he earns this merit. Now, I'm really not sure what that phrase means. Let's read it one more time and maybe something will come. When a person is Zocha Oso Hatzada the Kabbalah Sachar al Masim Atovim, so Masav, it's on his good deeds. So he's getting a schar on his good deeds. He did the mitzvahs. Mishal HaKodesh Baruch Hu Zocha, from that which is within HaKodesh Baruch Hu, which I'm saying, he hasn't said this, so I'm saying this is Bina. Bina is also the Kodesh Baruch Hu, but it's Mashpia to Zeranpin, the Mushpa, the Mashpia is called the Kodesh Baruch Hu, from where we get. So he says, V'chein, Enu Roy L'Kabla B'Olam Hazeh Klal. It's not really fit to get them here in this world at all. Ki'im B'Olam Habah, which is, he says, which is the dwelling of HaKodesh Baruch Hu, Shu Olam Ramitish of HaKodesh Baruch Hu, which is the true world of HaKodesh Baruch Hu. Malkam HaShras Shchinasa, the place where his Shekhinah dwells. Now it says like this. Desanya Kasiv is all of Levium. Now the Zohar switches slightly and it talks about Levium. V'nachlo lo yihya lo b'kerev echov. He will not have a portion in the midst of his people. My time, but what's the reason? Mishum the Hashem hu nachalasa, because his inheritance is Hashem. The Matok Midvash, in this small print, he wants to try to help us out. He said, Pirush mit trumos umaisos umekakarbonos, from that portion, the highest portion that is taken from trumos, umaisros, and karbanos, Yeh Shalo shall be his. That is, it goes to who? The Levium, right, including the Kohanim. Hare afilu Eretz Yisro ena iker klape chelek hagavoa. So if your portion is purely spiritual, enu iker klape chelek hagavoa, it's not the main thing if you're thinking about it in relationship to the Most High. V'chein haLevim sheim achuzim b'HaKodesh Baruch Hu, are constantly holding on to HaKodesh Baruch Hu, maybe it should be the vaking HaKodesh Baruch Hu, they're not able to have an inheritance in the physical world. So therefore they don't have a portion. They don't have an inheritance be'eretz Yisro. So if it's going to be this world, Kach ba'olam haba, the same way will it be in the next world. V'chein in the Kodesh Baruch Hu b'shalom sacha the tzaddik ela ba'olam haba. So he says, so therefore, Ein HaKodesh Baruch Hu will not mishalem sacha the tzedikah to the person's righteousness, ela ba'olam haba, only in the next world. So this paints a picture like this. It's that the really ikar of light is in that life is in the next world. You could approach it. You could get into a that's a tarak, that's the palace. You can get into the prosdol, into the waiting room before you get into the palace. So you know there's a palace out there. That's what he's telling you, is there's a palace out there. The palace of all the goodness that there is in life comes from that palace. So let's see. He says, Zachor chuloke demand zache lachasana santa yilodo. Happy is the person of a man who is merits. So let's read the Matok. Ashrei chelko shal mi shezocha l'nchol nachla alyona. Happy is the person of a man who merits linchol to inherit his portion alyona up above in the world beyond hazu. Hashem yihya nachalasu kamo halaviyim, that person will have a nachla just like the Leviyim, that only they will seek and want. So Kodesh Baruch Hu. Zache ba ba'al badal b'beisei dahal alma. Whose zocha she Hashem nachalasu, so that person will have his inheritance will be a Kodesh Baruch Hu. But Olam hazeh, then he's able to do that, make that his purpose, his whole part here in this world. And in his only house in the next world, Tishra Shechina, in that place in the next world, that is the place of the dwelling of the Shechina. He will merit Olam Habah in that Olam Habah. Shehu Olam HaBriya, which is found in Olam HaBriya. Briya goes along with Bina. Ubebeis Elyon HaKadosh, Shehu Malchus D'Atzilus. So from the top of Bria, you have an aspect of Malchus inside of it. You're able to rise up to that place, D'Atzilus. Dechsiv v'nesata d'chem b'beisi v'chumosai. Hainu, he said, b'malchus. He says, Ubesi, my house, v'chumosai, and my walls. In other words, my structure, Hainu, malchus. Yad Vashem. Now here's the word Yad Vashem. It's actually a word in Zohar, and Yad Vashem is the memorial for the Holocaust survivors. It says Yad Vashem, the Zohar says Makom Chashav Vashem Tova, an important place, a good name. Zakol Choloke Dahaku Zakol the Modre im Malko Bebese Ashrei Chelko Shel Osach Tzadik. Happy is the person of that Tzadik. Shediraso im Hamelech, who is now living with the king Hamelech HaKodesh Baruch Hu, Bebeso Shu HaMalchus, in his house in Malchus. Well, that's it. That's the Zohar for this week. This is Baruch Fleischman. You're listening to the Tikkun Elevator Call Out.